Take my truck, I told her. Though the snow was already swallowing the tires and my phone was still connected to a voice note I had no right to keep hearing. Emily didn't know I could hear Martha's gentle voice in the background. She didn't know I heard her whisper my name like it hurt. She only stood under the daycare awning with Noah's backpack clutched to her chest, saying, "Jake, I can't take your work truck." 6 hours earlier, I was sitting across from a woman named Claire at a steakhouse with clean white plates, low lights, and menus without dollar signs. She was kind, pretty, the kind of woman my sister kept saying I should meet. She asked about my mobile mechanic business, and I told her about winter calls, dead batteries, frozen starters, bald tires, and the old blue Ford the First had rebuilt twice because buying new felt like giving up on a loyal dog. Then my phone lit up. "Emily, road's getting bad by the clinic. You still out?" I turned the screen over. Claire noticed. "Important?" she asked. "Just a friend." I said too fast. That was the label. Just friends. It had covered 5 years of things that did not fit under it anymore. Emily Reyes was the front desk lead at Lakeside Family Clinic, the first voice sick parents heard at 7 in the morning, the woman who could calm an angry patient with one hand on a ringing phone and the other sorting insurance cards. She was taking night classes to become a medical office manager. She had color-coded binders, a 6-year-old son named Noah, and a rule about not letting anyone make decisions for her just because life had been hard. I met her when her sedan died outside the clinic with baby Noah asleep in the back seat. She was standing in cold rain, trying not to cry, apologizing for not having the full tow fee. I fixed the alternator cable, charged her for parts only, and she brought me coffee the next morning like we had signed some quiet contract neither of us named. After that, there were rituals. She texted every snowy morning. "Roads okay today?" I sent pictures of intersections, black ice, plow lines, warnings. She left coffee on the clinic counter when I serviced their vans. I checked her tires every month. She reminded me to send invoices because she said talent was not a business plan. Last spring, she built me a spreadsheet so I could track customers instead of stuffing receipts in a glove box. Noah called me Truck Jake and once drew me beside him and his mother under a square yellow sun. I kept that drawing folded behind my visor. At dinner, Claire listened politely until I mentioned Emily for the 3rd time. She set down her fork and smiled, not cruelly, just carefully. "Jake," she said, "why do you smile more when you talk about her than when you talk to me?" I looked at the candle between us and had no answer. By 9, the date was over. No fight. No villain. Just a woman honest enough to point at a door I had refused to see. I drove through falling snow toward the clinic without being asked. Habit, I told myself. Friendship. But when I pulled into the lot, Emily's paper cup was waiting upside down on the bench, trapped under a rubber band so the wind wouldn't take it. My name was written on the side. Under it, in her neat blue ink, "Eat something tonight." I sat there with the engine running, holding that empty cup, wondering if the thing I kept looking for had been warming my hands for years. The snow thickened so fast it erased the lane lines before I reached the daycare. My phone buzzed twice on the console, but I did not look down until the red light caught me. Emily. Then another message. Then a call. When I answered, all I heard was wind, a child crying somewhere close, and Emily trying to keep her voice steady. "Jake, my car won't start." I was already turning the truck around before she finished. Lakeside Little Steps sat at the end of a dead-end road behind a church, its playground buried under a white sheet, the plastic slide wearing a cap of snow. Emily's sedan was hunched beside the curb with its hazards blinking weakly, like a heartbeat giving up. She stood under the awning in her clinic scrubs and winter coat, one arm around Noah, one hand holding her phone to her ear. Behind the glass door, Martha, the evening daycare aide, waited with her purse still on her shoulder and her keys in her hand, refusing to leave them alone. I parked crooked, grabbed my jump pack, and stepped into snow that came over my boots. "Roadside said 4 to 5 hours, Emily said, embarrassed, like the dead battery was a personal failure. I told them I had a child. They said everyone does tonight. Noah pressed his face into her coat. His mittens didn't match. That small detail hit me harder than it should have. I tried the jump pack. Nothing. Tried the starter. One ugly click. Frozen relay, maybe more. This was not a parking lot fix. Not with the wind cutting sideways and the temperature dropping hard. Emily watched my face and understood before I spoke. No, she said. Don't do that thing where you decide something for me. I pulled my keys out and put them in her palm. Take my truck. She looked at the keys like they were too heavy. Jake, that's your work truck. And you've got a kid getting cold. You need it. I'll fix this. Her eyes shone. Not quite tears. Not quite surrender. Martha opened the door and called, Honey, take the truck. That was what did it. Emily buckled Noah into my back seat while I transferred his booster with numb fingers. Before she drove off, she called me from the cab so I could talk her through the heater controls and four-wheel drive. I thought the call ended. I heard the click of her phone moving, the scrape of fabric, Noah asking if truck Jake was magic. Then Martha's voice came through, soft but clear. You okay, sweetheart? There was a pause. A wet breath. No. My hand froze on the wrench. The call timer still glowed on my dashboard screen. I should have tapped end right then. I knew it. My thumb even moved toward it. But then Martha said, Is it because he helped? Or because you wish it meant what you're afraid it means? The wrench slipped from my hand and hit the frozen pavement. Emily whispered, If Jake ever chose me, I'd say yes. My chest went tight. The truck's Bluetooth icon flashed blue. She kept going, smaller now. He's felt like home for years. I stopped breathing. Not in a beautiful way. In a guilty way. Because those words were not mine to hear. I reached for the screen too late. The truck gave a sharp chime as my glove hit. The volume knob. Somewhere inside the cab, Emily went silent. Then her voice came through, thin and horrified. Jake! For 3 seconds, neither of us moved inside that open line. I stood beside her dead sedan with snow collecting on my shoulders, one hand still hovering near the dashboard screen, the other curled around nothing because the wrench was on the ground. In the truck speakers, I heard the soft rush of heat, Noah's small sniffle, Martha breathing once like she had just realized the room had another person in it. Emily? I said, and my voice sounded rough, scraped out of me. I'm sorry. The screen glowed blue against the windshield. Call connected. My name sat there in block letters, plain and accusing. How much did you hear? She asked. Not angry yet. Worse, careful. Like she was already packing something fragile away before I could break it. I looked at the coffee cup in my center console, the one from that morning with her handwriting around my name. Eat something tonight. My throat tightened. Too much. Silence. Then Martha, firmer now, from somewhere near the passenger side of the cab. Jake, you don't get to make a big speech because you're shaken. Not tonight. I know, I said quickly. I know. Emily, I should have ended the call the second I realized it was private. I didn't. That's on me. My thumb finally pressed the edge of the screen, not ending it, just resting there like a man who had found the door too late. Emily gave a small bitter laugh. So what happens now? You feel bad for me? You say something kind because I embarrassed myself. No, Jaque. Her voice sharpened. Don't answer fast. You always fix things fast. Cars, flat tires, frozen pipes at the clinic. This is not one of those. That stopped me harder than the cold did. Behind me, her sedan clicked and settled, useless under the storm. Ahead of me, through the windshield, I could see the daycare lights turning blurry in the snow. I thought of every woman I had sat across from in the last 2 years. Every dinner where I checked my phone under the table. Every time I compared the quiet across from me to the quiet I felt when Emily rode beside me, holding gas station coffee. With both hands. I thought of the night my biggest commercial account dropped me and Emily came to the garage with takeout. Not advice, not pity, just a plastic fork and 2 hours of silence. I thought of her remembering 2 sugars, no cream. Her texting me before road crews updated the city map. Her building my invoice spreadsheet after I admitted I was losing money because I hated paperwork. I thought of myself calling her first when my sister had surgery, when the truck broke down, when dates went badly, when the apartment felt too empty. I'm not going to ask you for anything tonight, I said. I'm not going to use what I heard like it gives me a place in your life. Emily breathed out, shaky. Then why does it feel like everything just changed? I looked at the little drawing Noah had folded behind my visor, the yellow sun, 3 stick figures, my blue truck bigger than the house. Because maybe it already had, I said, quieter. And I was the last one brave enough to see it. Martha murmured, "Careful, Jake." Emily whispered, "That sounds like guilt." "Maybe some of it is," I admitted. "For listening. For hiding behind just friends. For making you wonder alone." The line went still. Then Emily said, "Things this important don't get fixed through a dashboard screen." Click followed. My name disappeared from the display, and the silence she left behind felt louder than the storm. I did not drive to Emily's apartment like a man with a right to be there. I drove like a man carrying something fragile he had already dropped once. The plows had not touched Maple Street yet, so I parked 2 buildings down, left my hazard lights blinking, and walked through snow up to my shins with my hat in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. Not flowers. Not some apology that asked to be admired. Just milk, children's cold medicine, the dinosaur crackers Noah liked, and the spare phone charger Emily always forgot at the clinic. Her building had a cracked glass door and a buzzer that stuck in winter. I pressed 2B once, then stepped back so she could see me on the security camera if she wanted. The little red light blinked over my head. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the speaker clicked. "Why are you here, Jake?" Her voice was tired. Not soft. Not cruel. Tired. "To return your space," I said. "And groceries. I'll leave them downstairs if you want." Static filled the speaker. Somewhere above me, a curtain moved. "Noah's asleep. I won't come up unless you ask me to." Another pause. The lock buzzed. That sound went through me like a verdict. I climbed the stairs slowly, boots heavy with slush, and found her standing in the hallway outside her door in sweatpants, clinic hoodie, and socks with little blue stars on them. Her hair was pulled back badly, like she had done it with one hand while holding herself together with the other. She did not move aside. Good. She shouldn't have. I set the bag down between us. "I'm sorry," I said, "for listening. For not ending the call. For letting you be the only brave one for 5 years." Her eyes flicked to mine. "Don't make me noble because you feel guilty. I'm not. Then answer me." She crossed her arms, not to shut me out, but to keep herself standing. "If that voice note never happened, would you ever have said anything?" The hallway hummed with old pipes. Snow tapped the small window at the stairwell. I wanted to be better than the truth. I wasn't. "Maybe not soon enough," I said. Her mouth tightened. "That's not comforting." "I know." I looked at the paper bag, at the charger cord curling out like a white ribbon. I think I would have kept calling it friendship because friendship felt safe. Because if I ruined this, I didn't just lose a woman I loved. I lost Noah's drawing behind my visor. I lost coffee on cold mornings. I lost the person who knows I pretend not to be lonely. Her eyes shone, but she held her ground. "And tonight didn't create it," I said. "It exposed me." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the folded drawing, worn soft at the corners. Her breath caught when she saw it. "You kept that since preschool open house." I gave a small, ashamed smile. "You told me it was just crayon. I didn't believe you." Emily looked away toward her door. Inside, Noah coughed once in his sleep. That sound steadied her. When she looked back, she was not trembling anymore. "If we try this, I need rules." "Name them." "I'm not your backup plan because dating was disappointing." "You're not. You don't hide me." "No. And tomorrow morning, you don't call this a mistake because the snow made us emotional." I swallowed. "Tomorrow morning, I'll still mean it." She studied me for a long moment, then opened her hand halfway between us. "Say it again," she whispered. With no screen between us, I placed my hand in hers, careful and certain. "You feel like home, Emily, and I'm here because I choose you." Her fingers closed around mine. Then she stepped aside, just enough for me to enter. The first morning after I stepped through her door, nothing magical happened. Noah spilled cereal on the kitchen floor. Emily had to find a clean scrub top in a laundry basket, and I burned toast because her toaster had two settings, pale bread and house fire. But when she came into the kitchen with one earring in and her work badge between her teeth, she stopped like she had forgotten I was real in daylight. I lifted the blackened toast with 2 fingers. "I can rebuild a transmission," I said. "Apparently not breakfast." She laughed into her hand, quiet because Noah was still sleepy at the table, and that laugh felt less like fireworks than a porch light left on. We did not move in together. Emily made that clear the next night, sitting cross-legged on the couch with her laptop open to her medical management coursework. "Slow," she said, tapping her pen against a printed schedule. "I mean it, Jake. I have a son, a job, finals in 8 weeks, and a life that cannot become yours just because we finally said the scary part out loud." I nodded. "Slow. So love entered by objects, not declarations." My coat stayed on the back of one kitchen chair after a late dinner. A travel toothbrush appeared in a blue cup beside the sink, separate from hers, like it was asking permission. My laptop found a place on the coffee table beside Noah's library books. A half-finished mug of coffee cooled near the dish rack because Emily always started coffee and then answered 3 clinic messages before drinking it. On Thursdays, I came over after my last call, not because something had broken, but because nothing had. That was new for me. I had built my whole life around emergencies. Dead batteries, burst hoses, stranded drivers, people relieved to see me only when their day had already gone wrong. Emily noticed. Of course she did. One evening she stood at the stove, still in her clinic shoes, stirring soup while Noah read spelling words at the table. "You know you can come by when nobody needs rescuing, right?" she said without looking back. I leaned against the counter holding 3 clean bowls. "I'm learning." She glanced over then, soft but serious. "Good, because I don't want to be another call on your list." After that, I started showing up on purpose. I brought tacos on Tuesday because her night class ran late. I sat in the clinic parking lot during my lunch break just to hand her a sandwich through the passenger window. I let Noah teach me a card game with rules that changed every round. Emily kept her own life moving. She studied after bedtime. She met her friend Tasha for Sunday walks. She corrected me when I tried to fix a problem she had only wanted to talk through. Then one Friday she cleared half a kitchen drawer. Inside she placed a spare key, a phone charger, and a folded note. For ordinary days. My chest tightened. I kissed her forehead because she leaned in first. "No promises you don't understand," she whispered. "Only ones I can keep," I said. But that night, when my phone rang at 1:37 a.m. for a tow outside County Road 8, I answered before I remembered the calendar on her fridge, where Saturday morning was circled in blue. Emily final presentation, 9 a.m. By the time I remembered Emily's presentation, the sky was turning gray behind a wall of snow and my boots were frozen stiff from the roadside. I made it to the community college at 9:26, with grease under my nails and apology already burning in my throat. The classroom door had a narrow window. Through it, I saw Emily standing at the front in her navy blazer, one hand on the clicker, the other steady against the podium. Her slide read, "Patient flow improvements for small clinics." She did not look for me. That hurt more than if she had. I slipped into the back just as everyone started clapping, too late to hear the thing she had worked on for 18 months. Afterward, in the hallway, she accepted congratulations from her instructor, shook hands with 2 classmates, and smiled with the calm, professional face she used at the clinic when someone yelled about insurance. When she finally turned to me, the smile stayed, but nothing in it reached her eyes. "You came," she said. "Not thank you. Not where were you. Just the fact placed carefully between us." I held up the cardboard coffee carrier I had grabbed on the way. One cup had leaked into the tray.
"I'm sorry."
There was a woman stranded with 2 kids off County Road 8. I couldn't leave them. Her face softened for half a second because that was the hard part. I had not been out drinking. I had not forgotten because I did not care. I had done something decent, and it had still broken something. "I know," she said. That's what makes this complicated. At her apartment, the celebration dinner I had promised to cook became takeout containers cooling on the counter. My key sat beside her laptop. The blue-circled calendar page hung on the fridge like evidence. Noah was at Tasha's for the afternoon, so there was no small voice to soften the silence. Emily took off her blazer, folded it over the chair, and finally looked at me. "You keep saving strangers because that is who you are," she said. "I love that about you, but I need to know I'm not only important when I'm stranded." I opened my mouth, then closed it. She held up one hand. "And before you fix it, listen." That landed, because I had already started building solutions in my head. Hire another driver. Change dispatch. Buy her flowers. Pay her tuition balance. Something useful. Something fast. "I don't want you managing my life because you feel bad," she said. "I don't want you deciding which problems get solved, or showing up with answers I didn't ask for. I need a partner who asks before helping." The words stung because they were fair. I looked at the half-empty drawer she had made for me, the toothbrush in the bathroom, the work gloves I had left on her radiator. I had thought presence meant protection. I had not seen how protection could start to feel like control when a woman had fought this hard to own her life. So we made rules at her kitchen table with a yellow legal pad between us. Shared calendar, not assumptions. Emergency calls marked red. Important events marked blue. And blue meant I arranged backup before I said yes to anyone else. No leaving mid-conversation unless we said, "Pause, not gone." No fixing without asking, "Do you want help or just witness?" Emily wrote that last one herself, underlining witness twice. Then her laptop chimed. An email banner slid across the screen. Minneapolis Lakeside Medical Group. Office manager final interview invitation. Emily did not open the email right away. She sat with her hands flat on the kitchen table, the yellow legal pad between us still full of rules we had made to keep love from becoming guesswork. The subject line glowed on her laptop screen like a small road sign pointed out of town. Minneapolis Lakeside Medical Group. Office manager final interview invitation. "Open it," I said, though something inside me tightened before she touched the trackpad. The message was clean and professional. All polished sentences and attached documents. Final interview Monday. Relocation package. Higher salary. Full authority over scheduling systems at a new family clinic network. Tuition reimbursement for advanced certification. There was a PDF named transitiontimeline.pdf and another called benefitscomparison.pdf. Emily read every word twice. I watched her face change from shock to calculation to something almost painful. Recognition. This was not a lottery ticket. This was the door she had been walking toward before I ever had a key to her apartment. The next day, she called her current clinic manager during lunch and asked real questions, not emotional ones. Would there be a promotion path here? Could they match the leadership role? Was the office manager position still frozen until next year? She wrote answers in a notebook beside her cold sandwich. No, not yet. Maybe after budget review. That evening she talked to Tasha on speaker while folding Noah's school shirts. Tasha did not say, "Stay for the man." She said, "Don't make yourself smaller just because somebody finally loves you right." I respected her for that even while it hurt. On Friday, Emily's mother came over with a casserole and a careful face. She had a spare key to Emily's place on a purple keychain and a history of worrying in practical ways. "Minneapolis is far," she said, placing the dish on the stove. "Snow there is worse. Childcare is expensive. Noah would need a new school." Emily nodded and pulled a folder from her tote bag. She had already printed school ratings, rent estimates, clinic benefits, and a monthly budget with 3 columns marked stay, move alone, move with support. That last column made my chest ache. Not because it promised me anything, but because it admitted I existed inside the question. Later, after Noah fell asleep, Emily and I sat on the living room floor with papers spread around us like a storm of possible lives. Her blue clinic badge lay beside the Minneapolis offer letter. My truck keys sat near the edge of the coffee table. 2 objects from 2 versions of the future. "I'm scared," she said, "of leaving." Of staying because leaving would hurt you. I looked down at my hands. They were scarred, cracked at the knuckles, hands good at holding bolts and bad at holding fear gently. I don't want to be the reason you say no. And I don't want to be punished later for saying yes. That sentence went quiet between us. I thought of my shop lease, the commercial accounts I had finally built, the routes that knew my name, the old blue Ford with every tool I owned bolted into its drawers. I thought of empty evenings if she left, Noah's drawings disappearing from my fridge, the porch light feeling like a joke. You should take the interview, I said. My voice almost held steady. Emily closed her folder slowly. Jake, I mean it. Taking the interview is not the same as solving us. I nodded because she was right. The papers on the floor gave us only 2 clean answers, and both looked like loss. She left to become the woman she had worked to be, or she stayed and buried that woman where love could visit but never resurrect her. Emily did not answer right. Away. She kept staring at the 2 columns on the floor. Stay, move alone, move with support. Like none of them were honest enough to carry a life. Then she pushed herself up, walked to the kitchen, and opened her laptop again. Not the email. A blank document. You're doing that thing, I said quietly from the couch. What thing? She asked without turning. Turning pain into a plan. That made her pause. Then she nodded once. Because pain doesn't negotiate. She brought the laptop back and set it between us like a third person in the conversation. I'm not choosing between Minneapolis and you, she said. That's a false problem. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. Then what's the real one? She tapped the trackpad. A map appeared. 2 cities. A route line drawn in thick blue. The real problem is that my job is becoming portable, she said. Clinic systems, scheduling architecture, patient flow optimization. None of that needs me in one building anymore if I design it right. She opened another file. Emily_is_consulting_proposal.pdf. My eyes tracked the header. You're building a consulting model? Hybrid office management consulting, she said. Small clinics. I can do implementation 2 weeks a month on-site, the rest remote. Minneapolis would be my anchor client, not my relocation. She turned to me then, steady. But I can't do that alone in a vacuum. I need a base. A real one. Not 2 separate lives I jump between. The room went quiet except for Noah shifting in his sleep down the hall. I felt something shift under my ribs. Not relief exactly, but structure forming where panic had been. So what are you asking? I said. Emily didn't soften it. I'm asking if your life can stop being only emergencies. That hit because it was true. I looked at my phone on the table, already lighting with a dispatch alert I had ignored for 10 minutes. Then I turned it face down. I can scale the shop, I said slowly. Hire 2 techs. Keep the mobile unit for contracts, not random calls. Stop chasing every broken car like it's personal. She watched me like she was checking if I meant it beyond tonight. And Minneapolis? I asked. Not relocation, she said again. Anchor rotation. I go there monthly for implementation. Noah stays in his school. I keep my role here, expand remote oversight. But I need someone who can physically be here when I'm not. Not as babysitter. As partner in structure. I understood then what she was really building. Not a compromise. A system. That's me, I said. Not because I wanted to be chosen, but because I saw where I actually fit. Emily shook her head slightly. That's a part of it. Not all of it. Then she slid another paper toward me. My handwriting was on it. The rules from part 6. Pause not gone. Ask before helping. Witness don't fix. She had added a new line underneath. Shared responsibility calendar is not optional. I almost smiled. You edited my rules. I improved them, she said. Outside, a plow finally scraped down the street, shaking the windows. My phone buzzed again. I didn't pick it up. Instead, I pulled the shop calendar toward me and started marking blocks. Fixed hours, not constant availability. Emily did the same on her laptop, syncing Minneapolis visits with clinic cycles and Noah's school breaks. At midnight, we stopped at the same time without speaking. The plan was not perfect. It was worse than perfect. It was real. Emily closed her laptop first. "This is a trial," she said. "Not forever." "Good," I said. "Forever is too big for us right now." She reached across the table and pushed the truck keys toward me, then didn't take them back. "We start Monday," she said. I nodded. Then I asked the only question left that wasn't logistical. "When people ask what this is, what do we call it?" Emily looked at the map between us, at the schedules, at the life that now existed in pieces we had agreed to carry together. "We tell them the truth," she said, "and figure out the name after it survives." 2 months later, the snow was gone, but the traces of it still lived in corners of the building where we worked like it had left memory behind. Emily's laptop was open on the kitchen counter of what used to be my empty space above the shop, now turned into something neither of us had named properly. On the wall, there were 2 schedules pinned side by side. Hers in blue, mine in black, not merged, aligned. The truck keys hung on a hook by the door, next to a second set Emily had copied without telling me, then handed over like it was nothing more dramatic than buying milk. The old webcam above my workbench was still there from when I used it to check security feeds. It had a small green light now, always on because Emily insisted on keeping it open during her remote clinic consulting hours. "So I know you're actually eating lunch," she had said. I thought I would hate that. I didn't. That morning, I was under a client's van when my phone buzzed on the toolbox. Emily's face appeared on the screen. She was in her office in Minneapolis, badge clipped to a hoodie, Noah's drawing taped behind her. She didn't say hello right away. She just looked at me through the camera and smiled like she had arrived somewhere safe. "You left the coffee on the counter again," she said. I wiped grease off my hands and leaned closer to the laptop. "It's still warm," I said. "That means I'm on time." Behind her, I could see the clinic floor plan pinned to the wall, color-coded like everything she touched. I could hear a patient check-in bell in the distance. A life continuing on both sides of a screen we no longer treated like distance. We had learned rules the hard way, and they lived everywhere now. Calendars synced, pauses spoken out loud, help always preceded by a question. Even Noah had adapted. His voice came through from her side sometimes, asking if I was eating enough or if trucks ever get lonely. I told him trucks only get lonely when they're ignored. That made him laugh. At noon, I drove to the clinic to pick Emily up for her flight planning call. She came out with her coat half on, talking to her assistant about staffing rotations, then stopped when she saw me. Not surprised anymore, just aware. "We're live-in 10, she said, nodding at the phone in my hand. "Good," I said. "Then they hear it from both of us." We sat in the truck with the dashboard camera still connected to the shop feed. Emily adjusted it so it framed us instead of the windshield. "This is weird," she said. "This is real," I answered. She reached over, not for my hand first, but for the truck key hanging between us. She turned it slightly, like reminding both of us what started this. "Jake," she said, and looked straight at the lens. "We're not fixing each other anymore. We're building this." I nodded once. Then I leaned closer to the camera, knowing the green light was on, knowing the shop crew and clinic staff and whoever else was logged in could see us without context or warning. "If you're watching," I said, "this is not an accident anymore." Emily smiled, small and certain. "Say it properly," she whispered. I did. I choose her. On purpose. She didn't correct me. She just let the silence hold it. Later that night, we stood in the garage doorway together. My tools on one side, her clinic files on the other, a shared space finally finished in the middle. The webcam light blinked steady above us. No longer a secret, just a witness. Emily turned it slightly toward us and didn't switch it off. "They can see us," she said. "Good," I answered. She slid her hand into mine. The truck keys clicked softly against the hook. "Then let them see this too," she said. And for the first time, nothing about us was hidden, and nothing about us felt like it had